All right. So a few of the things that you need to be looking at when it comes to sourcing and, know your numbers. And this is something that I talk to everyone about, everyone that I've actually ever consulted, and I still talk about that till now. So what's your actual numbers in terms of what are you thinking of selling the actual price of your product for? Now, a lot of you guys know that that have probably coached with me. I actually look at a set range. So as opposed to saying, I can sell this product for $30, I would say, okay, my break even, once it's landed in Amazon, including FBA fees, let's say $16. So my range now is I want to test anywhere from 16 up to say 40 or $35. And then I actually test those increments. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of money people are leaving actually on the table, right? So a lot of products are actually underpriced. So when you get to the stage and you start selling a good amount of your product, what you want to be doing is you want to be testing to see how far you can actually go in terms of actually selling that product. Now, I've got a story where my very first product was actually a potato masher, and a lot of you guys probably know that. Again, I shared that a couple of times a while ago. But that particular product, I was buying it for $1.80 per unit. And then I had the julienne peeler, which was a bundle combination with that, which only cost me $1. And I had beautiful packaging. And that particular product only cost me about $3 or $4, including Amazon FBA fees, probably looking at around about $10.50. And so I was actually able to sell that up to $28, $29, even $30 during some periods of time and Christmas and things like that. And most of the products were only selling for around about $15 or $16 or $17, right? So depending on the season, I can increase the price and then I can reduce it if it's say February or March or somewhere around about there. So understanding your actual RRP and knowing when to actually, inflate the cost, reduce the cost, that will get you definitely a lot more revenue. And if you do have a product that's selling really well, I encourage you to increase the price by $1 every couple of weeks and see whether or not your sales reduce. So have a look at your sales rank, keep an eye on that, see whether or not it improves or it's going, the opposite way, and just really monitor that. But a lot of businesses that I've consulted, just by putting their price up another $1 or $2, it's made them a lot more in revenue and eventually in profits. Allocating money or budget for your business. Again, this is another crucial one where you have to really think about how much money you are actually going to be outlaying in your business, and don't go over that. You need to work with a specific number in mind, because that specific number will determine the actual strategy that we're going to go for, right? So if you only have, let's say you have $5,000, there's a strategy that needs to be worked out based on your $5,000, right? And that strategy could be this. And I've always heard, because I guess I've got a lot of thoughts going on in my head now, but when you're actually looking at building a business, a lot of the times to actually scale your business, you need thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Now, not everyone has that, but there's one thing that you can actually do to get there. And one thing you can actually do to get there is just validate the idea that you have, right? If you could spend 5,000, a few thousand, 10,000, whatever it is to validate the idea, then what we can do is start working on actually how to get investments for that particular business that you have, right? So a lot of people feel like they have to build a successful business on $5,000 or $10,000, and it's not true, right? So just validate the idea and then come to me and we'll be able to work out how to get extra funds, right? So that's a very, very important thing to do, because once you have something that's proven and you can show that it's proven, people are going to want to put money into it, right? So that's also another thing to think about. Okay, of course, always the approximate price per unit. So by the time you get to the sourcing stage, you should roughly know, how much you should be able to source your product for based on the actual profits that you want to make. And again, these are things that we can actually discuss on future inner circle calls and some Q&As also if we need to. So that's all good. The funds required for scalability. So we know scale of business does require a lot of funding, and it's going to depend again on your profit margins, but that doesn't become a problem anymore once you've actually validated your product. Calculate how the lead times impact your finances. So this is a really big one. I mean, I speak to people and some of their lead times are 3-4 months. If your lead time is 3-4 months, then you have to work out if you're selling 1,000 units a month, right? So it means you need to have another 4,000 units plus the shipping it takes just on hand, right? So how much funds is that going to require, right? So the less lead times, the better it is. So that's something also you need to think about. And of course, your end goal. So your end goal could be, I want to, stay in the business for 3 years and then sell the business after 3 years. Your end goal could be, you know what, I'm going to keep the business. I'm going to build this out and make this #1 product for this particular niche. And it's going to be my family brand. So always think about that. And sometimes there are moments where people would say, I just want to make some money, right? And as long as you know that, that's okay. And again, as long as you don't sell crappy products, right? But there is ways of doing that by riding certain trends and certain niches, bringing something that's a little bit more valuable to the market, or I should say a lot more valuable to the market, but also understanding that that rise in that particular trend is probably a fad, right? So there are ways of doing that where you can actually just make money and still have your morals intact there by having a great product and not contributing to the waste that's already happening. All right, so what you should know also when it comes to product sourcing in terms of your actual product is the actual keywords you'll be targeting. So this is a common mistake where a lot of the times what tends to happen is you haven't done your proper keyword research, or you have, but one thing that you're missing out is if I target this particular keyword, for me to be ranked on page 1, shit, I'm going to need 600-700 sales, right? For me to rank this keyword on this page. So what tends to happen is you end up giving away 200 or 300 units of your product, which I don't really I don't really agree with giving away product. And there's a good way of doing it, and I'll kind of talk about that also later. But essentially, in terms of targeting your keywords, there's no point targeting your main keyword if you need 600 or 700 sales to get on page 1 for that. So you've given away 200 or 300 units, you're still not on page 1, you're thinking what's going on, right? So this is also another important step that you should know when it comes to actually going live with your product, is which keywords you're going to be targeting. And I always recommend targeting the low-hanging fruit. So look at the low keywords, the low volume keywords, low sales keywords. Go after them first, because most likely when you actually order your first lot of inventory, you're not going to get many units, right? You're only going to get maybe 100, 200, 300, really just depends. And you're only wanting to test. So test with those low competitive keywords, the ones that have the lower sales, prove that, then order a little bit more, go after the other keywords and do it systematically like that. Inventory required, of course, and that's going to determine whether or not you're ordering for the first time or for the second time. And it's also going to really depend on your actual strategy and also the keywords that you're going after. Marketplaces you'll be selling. So this is also another big one, because you need to know that before you start selling or before you start sourcing, because you need to know which keywords to actually research and which market to actually research, etc. Your niche, your customer avatar, which is crucial. If you don't know your customer avatar, you don't know who you're selling it to, you don't know the material of your product, you don't know what size your product is, you don't know who buys your product, then you should probably not sell that product, right? So all of that is what develops your actual listing, right? Understanding who your customer is. So this is the only way to be able to communicate correctly when you're actually doing the copywriting and when you're doing your keyword research. This is the only way to actually emphasize the qualities and benefits of your products within your images, right? So whoever's doing your images, you need to give them that instruction. This is my customer avatar. It's someone 40 plus, and then use those images of that particular avatar in your actual images. So pros and cons of your competitors' products. And this is also a really, really big thing that you actually need to understand is, have you ordered I mean, I know it's been spoken about in terms of ordering your competition's products, but how many people actually really do it, right? So let's be honest there. And also another thing that you can do is when you're looking at sourcing from Vietnam and before, or as you go on through this checklist, sometimes there's going to be certain products that you might find it hard to find 4 or 5 different factories that make that one particular product. So it's very hard to compare whether or not that factory actually produces a good sample for you, because you have nothing to compare it against. What you can do is, this is also another advantage of getting your competition's products, because if you order your competition's products, then that's something that you can actually compare that product that's made in Vietnam with. Right? It can be a Chinese product, but that's okay, because all you're doing is essentially comparing it. And then how is your product better than the rest, which is obviously something that's absolutely fundamentally crucial. And that's really how I build everything that I possibly can build, is I spend the most time that I possibly can in creating the best product that I can and then everything else becomes a lot easier.
That was a video from my regular Monday night Q&A session with the members of the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs. We are a community of over 2,500 people and growing. We're the fastest growing community of e-commerce entrepreneurs right now, with sales, by the way, of over $50 million. If you would like to find out more about what we do and also come and join us, get yourself off to www.aussieontrepreneurs.com.au. The link for that is in the description, and I will see you on the next video. Until then, bye for now.